Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody our talks. My name is Jane Zeeher. I'm coming to you from Melbourne, and tonight's all about sharing a breakthrough that can change your life. So the C products came into my life about 4 years ago, and they've changed so many things. But just today, what's happened, I woke up with one of those necks that you get when you've slept a bit weird, and just slapped that on a couple of times, and it was fine. And then about 3/4 of an hour ago, I'm making dinner, and I managed to spill boiling hot food over my fingers. So it was like, where's the Renew? Grab, and got that onto there. So that's not hurting either. So there's so many things that that these products can do. However, tonight we're going to have a special guest who's going to be sharing an update on her redox experience. But before we get started, I'm just going to invite you to think about a couple of your health challenge, or do you know of someone who has a health challenge that needs some help? They're just not getting the resolution that they want with the path they're taking. Energy, it's another thing that seems to be lacking these days. So we need energy to live the life that we want to live. And it might be that you or someone you know is someone who wants to improve their athletics or physical performance. And all of these things can be helped, including having more time or money freedom for a better lifestyle. So all of these are possible with the technology we're going to be talking about tonight. So to live really well, we need a couple of basic things: a body that can do whatever you ask it to do, and enough money and freedom to do the things that you might be doing all sorts of things to take care of that: exercising, changing your diet, taking nutritionals. You might literally have done everything you can think of, and you might have done none of those whatsoever. But frustratingly, it doesn't seem to matter what you do, because as you get older, your cells respond less and less effectively to all of these strategies. The cells start to break down, producing less energy. They take longer to repair. It's just not like being a kid anymore, and you don't bounce back as quickly. So how would it be if your cells could be more efficient? If all the exercise and nutritional supplementation, the things that you put in place, could be more effective? You'd end up being healthier longer with less effort. I think that's a pretty good goal to have, don't you? Well, several years ago, scientists made a groundbreaking discovery. They identified these molecules that your body produces itself inside. And once discovered, there was years of research and development that went into figuring out how to stabilize the molecules outside of the body so they could be used to top up the redox levels that you make, which deplete as we age. The result is a molecular technology that helps your cells function better. Everything works better. So all the steps that you're taking to improve your health start to work. You look better, you feel better, you sleep better, and you have more energy. So what we're going to do now is hear from our guest, Jenn Cooper. Jenn is a reflexologist. She's based up on the Sunshine Coast, so for her it's 7:35 p.m. And I was looking today, Jenn, and it's pretty much exactly a year ago that we sat in these two spots, and we did our talk. So it was on the 16th of October last year that we went down this path to start off with. And at that time, you were telling us really about how the Renew 28 had essentially saved your career. I mean, you were struggling with your thumbs as a reflexologist. You need to use those all the time. And you had a few other things that were going on. So she's graciously agreed to come back, update us on her ongoing results. This time we're going to be focusing more on the ASEA liquid and the addition of the VIA nutritionals over the past 12 months. So Jenn, to start off with, can you just share how long ago you actually introduced the ASEA liquid and how you worked out the dose that worked for you?
Okay, that's a good question. I can't believe that's a year. And I've had at least 4 other things improve in the last 12 months. So it's a great benchmark, isn't it, being able to do these interviews and see the changes that happen.
Yeah.
So for me, it's my journey with this year started in March 2016. I was introduced to the Renew 28 through a colleague of mine and also an integrated doctor. The integrated doctor introduced the ASEA liquid to me, but of course it wasn't in the country at that time and was really hard to get. But fortunately, within a 2-week space, a colleague had actually knew I was having these issues with my hands. I had a condition which is actually called a trigger thumb, where basically my thumb completely had, this thumb, my right thumb had completely locked, and I couldn't actually bend it, and I couldn't glide, couldn't move it. And for a reflexologist, most people know what reflexology is. We have to use our thumbs and our hands to manipulate on feet. And I basically couldn't use my right thumb whatsoever. So when you said it saved my career, it completely turned things around for me at the beginning of 2016, because I thought I was going to completely finish doing reflexology, and that was my main income. Wow. So to give that up at that time, when I didn't want to, it wasn't a desire that I wanted to finish what I was doing, but I just knew these hands weren't going to take me much further.
Yeah. And
apart from the thumb, some of the other fingers were also starting to click, and they didn't have a good gliding action either. So what happened for me, I started using the Renew 28. This thumb had gone too far. I did have to have it operated on, but my other thumb was also not bending very well. And the surgeon had said to me, you will have to have that operated on, but I don't do them at the same time, because basically you can't use your hands at all. And so what I did, I continued going with the Renew. I was just rubbing the Renew on my hands, like 10 times a day. And what I found is that this thumb came back to normal. Like, I have complete function of that thumb. Whereas with the one that was operated on, it's probably 99% there, but because I had surgery, it's not complete like my other thumb. But I saved this thumb from having been introduced to Renew back in March 2016. So just absolutely, I mean, my hands are strong. They've got a lot of strength in them, and I've been able to continue on.
That's fantastic. So then you added the liquid in, and so how did you titrate that?
Well, a liquid I started in, used the Renew. I had a great result with the Renew. I had a lot more energy. I suffered a lot of fatigue issues. I suffered a lot of joint problems. I'd had viruses when I was younger, so I had really high inflammation. That was my big thing. It's probably why the hands really had started to become a problem. So each year for me, I had a new thing. Like, I had joint, like most people when they get old, you start to, you add, but I was adding, they were galloping like quite quickly for me. Like, I was getting more and more things happen. And, when I look back on that now, like, I don't have any of those now, which is just, that's been the phenomenal thing for me. But they were kind of galloping along, so a lot of inflammation. So the Renew 28 helped to get rid of a lot of joint discomfort. But it was when I added the liquid in that I got quite dramatic changes with internal things that were happening, like my bowel. I'd always had an irritable bowel, so that, took close to 6 months where I could confidently say things were much improved. Wow. And I'd always suffered with a lot of headaches 2 or 3 times a week. I was always reaching for Panadol and Nurofen during the day because I'd get a headache during the day and I'd still be working, so I'd reach for something. So I found that I stopped having to reach for any medication, really. I mean, I'm not on any synthetic medication whatsoever.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you were talking to me earlier about the inflammatory markers. Now, obviously as we get older, they do tend to become more of a problem. I mean, we all know that all chronic disease is based in inflammation. Yeah, so absolutely. How do you know that's changed, apart from you feel, your joints work better?
Well, I knew that things were better because I was functioning better and I could climb up steps where I couldn't do that. But about 18, I've had blood work done along the way. And prior to being on a SEER, my inflammatory markers were very high, like not high like you'd get a chronic cell breakdown disease, but high enough that it was causing a lot of issues. And at that time I was told I should just take really high antioxidants, and that might help boost my immune system and therefore improve my inflammatory markers. And what happened is I was on a SEER. So about 18 months on a SEER, I had just a whole range of blood work done. And what came up in there was my inflammation markers had gone down by about 40 points. So, they'd come back to the normal range.
Yeah, I think
I knew I was well and feeling great, but I had the blood work then to actually show the change.
And talking of changes, you were saying also that there's a phase that us women of a certain age go through called the change of life. by some, all
Change.
those hormonal changes, and you've like basically breezed through that.
I breezed through that, and, when I was younger, I had a lot of issues with my hormonal cycle.
Yeah.
I had a lot of discomfort. I had a lot of time off from work. When I was younger, I had a lot of time off from school. So to get a SEER, start on a SEER, I was 50 and a half and when I started on a SEER. So I was coming into that change the hormonal cycle, everything changing.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, I breezed through it. Like I've had no issues at all. I had all my issues prior to taking a SEER, but bringing a SEER in, I've just sailed through. And then I've had a whole bunch of tests done recently, which included scans of my whole abdominal area.
Right.
And my doctor gave me terrific news. He said, you've actually come right through menopause. It's obvious. So I thought, okay, there you go. I'm done. So that felt great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good to win at something, isn't it? You win at having that hormonal change of life. And, and it's not really surprising because we know that from the research that was done on the ASEA that that DNA expression level of the hormonal system is impacted. So it's not surprising that you're going to.
No, it's not surprising. And I think the other thing is once you've got a number of other things sorted out, then the ASEA's got time to sort out other things that may potentially be an issue.
Yeah.
And I think, the longer you take a SEER, the more positive changes you actually start to see. And that's for me this year because I've had a degeneration in my left ear. I lost 40% of my hearing in my ear several years ago. Wow. So every year I have to have that tested, and it always showed like a slight increase in, more degeneration there. But what I found last year when I had my test done is it's actually stopped. Like I've still got a hearing loss, but I don't think it's as bad. I've checked with other people. They don't say it's as bad. And my results are showing that it hasn't improved, but it hasn't got any worse either. And that's where it was heading.
Wow.
That's another improvement.
You didn't tell me about that one.
I did. I just thought I've just been remembering more and more things today.
It is amazing, isn't it? So it's how versatile the range of issues that can be assisted.
Well, how simple.
Yeah, and how
simple it can be that you've got, you've just got the bottle, the magic, beautiful molecules that we take, and then the Renew. Like I wouldn't be without Renew because you use that every day. Yeah, it's right there. You use that every day on your body, and obviously always on my face. I get a lot of compliments now about my skin as well. I don't have to use any other body type products on my skin at all to improve my skin or improve the moisture. It just stays really, I don't know, it's got a really good quality skin.
Yeah, you certainly always look very glowing.
Oh, thank you.
So I believe you've also been taking some of the ASEA via nutritional range. What are you taking and what have you noticed?
Well, I'm taking Source, which is the micronutrient. Beautiful product. I started that I went over to the Dallas convention last year and I brought it back with me. So I brought back Source and also the Biome, which is the probiotic, which is a beautiful product. I love that. So I've been on those a year. Okay.
And what do you attribute some of the things that have happened to them in addition to the ASEA?
Well, I've definitely developed a lot more strength in my overall body because I lost a bit of muscle strength, having had inflammation for so long and not being able to be as active. So I've definitely got a lot more strength back overall in all of my joints, and I attribute that to Source, adding Source in as well. I've had dramatic improvement with my hair. I used to quite often lose a lot of my hair. You'd always see it in the shower at the end of a couple of days. I'd have hair that would fall out really. Yeah. So what's happened is since I added Source in, that completely stopped. That stopped within about a month.
There'll be the minerals in there helping with the
minerals and the fact you easily absorb the nutrients, and it's helping you absorb the food that you're eating as well. So that was a big thing for me.
That's an interesting point, that the ability to help you absorb, utilize the nutrients that you're taking in with your food. Massive. That you don't hear anybody else talking about, really.
No. And you don't hear, and people don't comment. I used to take very good supplements prior to ASEA. Okay. So I was always taking practitioner brand supplements, but no one ever commented on anything to do with me. And so when I started on Source, my hairdresser commented and said, you've got some new hair growth that's come here, and it's actually my original colour. Like, I'm originally a brown colour, and it's come back a brown, like my normal colour hair. And she said, wow, that's amazing. I never see that. Are you doing something? And I said, well, I'm on Redox. You can't quite get Redox, but anyway, I'm on Redox. But she could understand that.
Yeah, and the fact that it's from a whole food source, it's not a synthetic set of vitamins and minerals that we're introducing to our body. That we talk about in lots of places, that these are the building blocks, and then you've got your ASEA as your workforce, your labour, etc. So
well, it also helps that the Redox can send that nutrients to where it's supposed to go. So for me, it was, I needed, my hair needed to stop falling out, and I needed to have better quality hair. And that happened within a month. So that was a great thing. And I used to have a lot of issues with my legs at night, where my legs would move a lot during the night, like a restlessness. And that just stopped. That pretty well stopped with Redox, but I had a little bit of it, but it completely went away when I added sourcing.
Amazing. And you said to me that really the ASEA liquid was like a slow burn, that, just got better, everything got better and better and better with time. And it sounds like layering that with the nutritionals is just added to that.
I like to call it the slow burn, not to expect that you're going to have everything happen in a month or 3 months or even 6 months. Because if I had have gone, I've got all of those things that everything's improved, and I came off it at 6 months, I wouldn't have had the gains that I've had now. Yeah. So, coming through hormonal changes, getting improvement with my hearing, and also thinking now that I've got inflammation reduced, what else can happen for me?
Absolutely.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, even checking in a year's time and thinking, well, what else has happened in that time? So this year what I've seen is my hearing's improved. I've had a slight improvement in my eyesight. I don't have to wear glasses now for long distance. And obviously the hormonal changes.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. So, as you said at the beginning, you're a practitioner, you're a reflexologist, and you're obviously introducing this to a number of your clients. What are your two favourite stories?
Oh, my two favourite stories is probably from the one family, actually.
Fabulous.
Yeah. So I had a lady come with me for reflexology pretty much for probably 20 years. And she developed a blood disease a couple of years ago. I'd only just introduced her to ASEA. Mm-hmm. And it was she was stage 3 with that. So very, very serious. And she was a person who was very open to natural medicine, obviously. And so she quickly got onto ASEA and drank a lot, like, half a bottle a day. Yeah. And she was undergoing some treatment at the time as well. But what happened to her is she was doing so well, she actually had been able to come out of having weekly chemical treatment, where her doctor told her she would never come off that she would be on that for the rest of her life. And it's been close to 9 months now that she's the only person in her group that started that she's completely off that treatment. And she's been doing ASEA, and her blood work has gone back to 0, where it was registering at 20 to be in that category for that particular illness. So she's come back to this normal range, living a great life. And her husband has had phenomenal results. He was OCD, high anxiety, he had depression. He was actually placed into a nursing home because they weren't coping with him at home. Okay. She knew how good ASEA had been for her, so she, through a lot of different means, got the doctors to approve for him to be on ASEA and to wean him off medication and the drugs that he was being given. And then they finally got him home. And when she got him home a year ago, she got him home a year ago from the nursing home, which they said he'd never come out. And then she started him on all the nutritionals, the Life Max, Source, and the Biome. And he's making great improvements. This is a person who was actually in bed all day, He didn't even come out of his room for 7 months in a nursing home.
Oh,
and now he's back home, and he's not fully functioning, but he's out and he's bowling and he's doing all sorts of things. So that's been bowling and going to the shops and going in for trips in the car, things like that, which they said that wouldn't be possible.
wow.
And she's managed to get him off all other medication.
That's incredible, Jen. That's absolutely
that's just one family. That's just one family. That has made such a dramatic difference.
And, you know, and it's so awesome, isn't it, that she's had this great result, so she shared it. It happens to be with her husband. And
I know, she really needed it.
Yeah.
Really, and the nutritionals came out at just the perfect time for him to actually start on that and add that. They're both on them, and they're both just doing amazingly well. And it's not to say that, you know, Western medicine can't help, but in those two circumstances, it wasn't the answer. It wasn't the solution. This has been the solution.
That's just phenomenal. Just on that, I mean, I think we've all got people who come in and, you know, they say, oh, I don't want to do the business. I don't want anything, or don't want to do that. Oof, goodness me. And then all of a sudden they get a result like she did, and they can't help but share. Have you got any of those that you want to share with us?
We had a lady who came in probably close to 2 years now, who said, I'm just going to be a preferred customer. I just want the product for myself. Mm-hmm. And came along to a talk and everything and said, I just want to do that. And then I think within a couple of weeks, she's like, oh, why did I do that? I should have enrolled myself as an associate. Of course I want to share this with people. So yeah, that was one. And she's remained, and she's continued to do that. And she's just in love with what it's done for her. And she had a nerve issue and some other issues. So it's done great things for her. And of course she wants to share it.
Yeah. And that's, you know, that is the purpose of these talks on a Tuesday night, is so that people can see the breadth of results that people get, and if they're at all worried about sharing, they can just bring their people along to these, let them see what results other people are getting, and, you know, thankfully we've got the Facebook groups to be able to share those. So
yeah, and the Facebook group is a great, fantastic testimonial group for people. We always add people into that group because they can see it for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. And I think after a while, when you've been using the product, people start to really see some changes with you. I just had a call with someone tonight who said, look, I need to do this because I've been watching and looking and seeing all these changes that are happening, and I can really see the difference. And I just need to get on and do it too. That's great.
All right. That's awesome. I just want to thank you so much for, sorry, that's my Facebook pings coming in. Thank you so much for being available and giving us your story. I do need to essentially say that, you know, there's we talk about the amazing results that we get, but there are disclaimer insofar as the Renew is not intended, Zeeher is not intended to medically diagnose or treat anything. We just simply make cells function better. So that's how it is. I'm going to find out how to stop the recording because I've lost it. Okay, stop recording.